These are the stories that keep me up at night. The missing, the murdered, the mysteries that have gone unsolved in our own backyards. I've covered crime in North Texas for more than 25 years, and now I'm opening up my reporter's notebook to you, revisiting cold cases and crimes that made headlines. I've covered homicides, serial killers, mass shootings, but nothing prepared me for what police found inside a small mobile home in Hutchins. An 8-year-old girl locked inside a closet, starved, hidden, and forgotten.
I do remember them living in filth.
And people were angry because she had been adopted to a loving family, but then a judge gave her back to her mother.
It's horrible to know that it could have been prevented 8 years ago. To know that she could have lived a normal life.
As a toddler, she was adopted by Bill and Sabrina Kavanaugh. They loved her, they raised her, they planned a life with her. But her biological mother, Barbara Atkinson, went to court and won custody. Lauren went to live with her mom and her stepdad, Kenneth Atkinson. And that's when her life turned into pure hell, locked in a small closet for years.
And she laid there naked, in her own feces, in her own urine.
At first, the Kavanaughs were given visitation rights so Lauren could visit with them, and they saw warning signs, bruises, welts, and burns.
A cigarette burn on her finger. And she had a bruise from the top of her hip almost all the way down to her knee. Every time we got her, she was filthy.
They called CPS and they tried to intervene. CPS investigated twice, but nothing was done, and eventually the Kavanaughs were no longer able to see her. But there were other kids in that house, and they later testified about what they saw.
It didn't look like a little girl. If he hadn't said what I can't say he said, I wouldn't have known that it was a little girl or her.
When police were finally called to the home and they opened that closet door, they found Lauren naked. She was 8 years old and weighed only 25 pounds. That's the average size for a 2-year-old.
To me, it was worse than what I've seen of a Holocaust victim. It was that devastating.
Inside the trailer, they found food in the cabinets, beer in the refrigerator, and dog food on the floor. But in the master bedroom closet, they found a urine-soaked carpet, feces, and scratch marks on the door.
We can mark her world off with 4 pieces of tape. This is the size, and this is the place that she lived, locked away like an animal, caged, confined, starving.
How could you do that to your own child?
Barbara and Kenneth Atkinson were arrested, and they were hauled out of that trailer as neighbors were yelling at them. Prosecutors painted a horrific picture for the jury.
We don't lock our babies in a closet. We don't starve them to death. That's evil.
Days after Lauren was rescued, doctors feared her body was shutting down.
She had hypotension or low blood pressure. Her heart rate got exceedingly high. She went into respiratory distress.
Barbara and Kenneth Atkinson were convicted. They were both given life sentences, and they're not eligible for parole until 2031. Lauren survived that closet, but life after the rescue wasn't easy.
The story of her abuse made national headlines, and now the so-called girl in the closet is accused of having a sexual relationship with a minor.
Years later, she also was arrested for a case involving a minor, but eventually those charges were dropped. Her story serves as a reminder that trauma from childhood abuse can follow someone for the rest of their lives.